Well, remember the story where two journalists were arrested in Hyderabad because they reported a story where a Dalit farmer was seen and heard abusing the chief minister. Now, my colleague Sai, who's there with me now, welcome Sai, spoke to that particular Dalit farmer. So, Sai, thank you for being here on Southwest Inside View. Tell me about that incident first. What happened there, very briefly, and before you go into what really happened after you met this particular farmer.
So, well, on March 12th, essentially a popular journalist called Revati, who's the CEO of Pulse News in Telangana, posted a video in the morning stating that the police showed up at her door and were planning on arresting her. So, from that, it went viral, and it turned out her and her colleague, Tanvi Yadav, another journalist at Pulse News, were both taken in by the police because of a video that went viral. So, this video showed an old farmer. At that time, nobody knew who he was, but this farmer was hurling abuses at the chief minister, and well, his language was colorful to say the least.
Okay, so now you went to his home, which is about, I mean, before the recording, you told me it's what, 200, 150 to 200 kilometers away from Hyderabad?
Indeed. So it's a village called Chinnamaparam. It's in Mahbubabad, and it's about 200 odd kilometers from here. It takes about 5 hours to get there.
What was it like when you met him? First, describe this person.
So, honestly, he's a slender man. He's very old, and his age shows on his face. And he's not the only Venkataiah in his village. So that was my first challenge to figure out where he was in the village. I was in the village, I was asking people around, and the moment I mentioned the police, everybody pointed me towards his house. Now, his house is really small. So the entrance itself is not high enough that I had hit my head when I entered. So there I saw Darshan Venkataiah. He's the 77-year-old Dalit farmer. He doesn't speak much, but when he does speak, he speaks very passionately. Talking to him was fun, but at the same time, when I heard his story and the struggles that he went through, one cannot help but think why there's a different kind of justice for him as opposed to others.
So, for those who are listening to this conversation, Sai did the story. The headline on Southwest website is "The Why Factor: Venkataiah, the Dalit farmer who abused Telangana Chief Minister Revanth Reddy." Now, when I went through your article, Sai, it sort of not shocked me, but felt really bad. He had 5 acres, and that was taken over because the government, the revenue department, if I'm right, stated that this was forest land. 5 years later, after a lot of drama, he was given 2 acres. And again, that land, those 2 acres have been taken for apparently the greater good of society. I think they dug 3 wells, bore wells or open wells, I'm not sure. Sai, you can correct me with that information. And now he is fighting for justice. Am I right, Sai?
Yes, so Venkataiah belongs to an SC family. He's from the Malika caste, and that 5 acres of land in Chinnamaparam has been an ancestral property. That's the only thing he has apart from his house. So in 2006, the Revenue Department, back then it was Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy and the Congress in power, they declared that those 5 acres belong to the forest. And so they took that away and they promised compensation for it. However, the compensation itself took about 5 odd years, and in 2011, the SC Corporation of back then Andhra Pradesh sanctioned 60,000 rupees for him to find newer lands in the surrounding areas. And with that money, all they were able to afford is 2 acres in Somakunta, which is some 20 odd kilometers from Venkataya's house. However, it doesn't end there because in 2015, they realized that there's good groundwater reserves in the land, and they deemed it as a public utility, and they dug 3 wells in the area to make sure that the people of Somakunta had drinking water. So in all of this, it's while it's good that the people of Somakunta were self-reliant with water now, Venkataya's livelihood took a very huge hit. He wasn't able to fend for himself or make his own livelihood as much as he could earlier. And since then, he's been fighting. He's gone to multiple institutions. He's gone to the Human Rights Commission. He's gone to the Revenue Department. He's approached the collector, and he's even met, uh, from what he tells me, 3 chief ministers.
From your article, I realized that when you said that, I wanted to ask you this. You said he met three chief ministers. He also met Revanth Reddy during campaigning, right, before the elections. And Revanth Reddy, the chief minister, also assured him that he would look into it. So
Mhm.
he knew about this issue. Did he or did he not?
Indeed. So from what the farmer tells me, this happened before the 2023 elections. So Venkataiah has this habit where he doesn't like hiring autos, partly because, not partly, but entirely because he can't afford it. So whenever he comes to Hyderabad, he gets off at the local stations and then he walks. So similarly, that day he got off at the Begumpet railway station and he walked some 5 or 6 odd kilometers to the chief minister's residence in Jubilee Hills and waited outside his gate trying to meet him. Once he did meet him, Venkataiah tells me that he fell on his feet, demanding some kind of justice. So in his head, it was a full circle. It was the Congress government that took it away. He was hopeful that the Congress government would again give it back to him. So he tells me that he met the chief minister, and
1 second. So which government took it away?
it was the Congress government.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir. So the chief minister apparently was told of this issue. He met him and asked for a resolution.
Okay. Those 5 acres of that land that was taken by the revenue department, saying that it's forest land, any idea what the revenue department has done with it? Because now, since they stated that it is forest land, have they started to grow trees or done anything that is deemed
Uh,
forest?
So they reportedly started to grow trees in the area. Uh, but apart from that, nothing else has been done. They've not touched much of the land.
So
It
his
still
land is still
remains.
barren?
This land has trees now.
There are trees there. Okay.
Mm.
No, this is interesting because so what next for him? What else can he do now? I mean, he got this two journalists into trouble because they reported what he said. He's still fighting for justice. What next for this person, for this farmer?
Well, Venkataya's 2 decades worth of struggles are all packed in a small bag in his house. That bag has all the documents, but none of them have the solution for his problem. They only have all the people he approached, whether it's a collector or the Human Rights Commission. Venkataiah has approached the court, apparently. He has started trying to look for legal ways to tackle this issue and get his land back. He's 77 years old and he doesn't make a very good living. He lives off his 2,000 rupees pension, and for 5 months out of the year, he gets work as a daily wage laborer in farms. Him and his wife both work there. So with whatever little money he has, he's trying to take the state to court and get his land back. He doesn't seem to want to stop his fight for his own land.
Now, I realized towards the end of your article, you said, and you quoted him, I'm 77. It's only by God's grace that I can still work. Recently, my abdomen hurts while working, and I'm worried. Who knows how long I have left? I don't want to pass on before I see my struggle bearing fruit. And you said this, end quote, his light brown eyes fixed at a distance. Do you suppose when he told this to you, he was like, okay, maybe one day some sort of justice I will get, or I will never get justice? What was the feeling when you were there with him, when you spoke to him, and when he told you this?
He, for all that he's been through, Venkataya is still a little optimistic. He still hopes that he'll one day get some kind of compensation.
Yes.
And he's in a bad position currently because the land that was allotted to him, the 2 acres which were given as compensation, he uh, allotted, like he gave away 1 acre as dowry for his child. But now his child has been sent back home because that land doesn't exist anymore. It's at least not under Venkataya's name. So he has his daughter at home and grandchildren, and he's in this predicament where he doesn't know what to do in the future. All he knows is that he's going to continue fighting.
All right, Sai. Thank you. I mean, thank you for this. I don't know what you call this. It's a sad situation for him. The government knows about this. At least now, since it's in the media, something can be done. But it's shocking that in spite of it being out there in the media, nothing's being done is I don't know what to say, but thank you very much for doing the story, for speaking to him and getting his story out there. So his life story, so people understand what many farmers like him are going through. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.